Welcome back to the theater, every pony. In today's chapter, it looks like we are back to music lessons between Inverno and Key. And it seems there's a rather surprising ending for this chapter. I won't get into it anymore, but what I will do is continue our journey. Inverno in F minor. Written by Cracked Inkwell. Chapter 20. The Fifth Symphony in B major. The next day, Professor Key carried on his back a piano transcript of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. While confident with today's lesson, he was a bit nervous about how Inverno would react considering what happened yesterday. Signature paused for a moment and adjusted his glasses, thinking to himself,
"What do I have to worry about? This is a necessary evil after all. It has worked with your past students before. Why shouldn't this be any different?"
Key continued onward towards the music room.
"Other than the fact that I'm taking a huge gamble. The colt could literally break me in two if this goes wrong. No, I have to get this right. He has to get it right. But if it fails, at least I had a fulfilling life."
As expected, when he entered the door, Inverno was waiting for him.
"Morning, Professor Key,"
he said, Signature taking note that he has a better attitude apart from yesterday.
"What are we doing today?"
"I have a special assignment for you. I want you to take a look at this and play it for me,"
the elder stallion said, taking the sheet of music off his back.
Before I do that,"
Inverno said, going over to the organ bench which, as Key Signature noticed, it had what looked like hoof-written music laying there. The younger unicorn picked the music up by his magic and gave it to his teacher.
"What's this?"
the professor asked as he took the music in his hooves.
"It's something I wrote.
Inverno explained.
It's a memorial to the crystal ponies from what Papa did to them."
The gears in Key's complex mind turned, forming an awful idea.
"So like a musical form of an apology?"
The young unicorn nodded.
"Yeah, it took me days to get it just right."
Now the professor knew what to do.
"How about this? You play this,
He gave Inverno the piano transcript.
and I'll take a look through what you've written here."
"All right.
Inverno said, taking the symphony in his aura.
Now let's see what..."
He trailed off when he opened up to the first page of Beethoven's masterpiece, and the colt stood still for a moment, flipping through several pages as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing.
"What am I looking at?
He questioned himself.
What is all this?"
"That
Professor Key answered.
is a musical transcription of Beethoven's most famous symphony, his Fifth Symphony. I want you to play it and see what your impression of it is."
Inverno looked at the earth pony as if he lost his mind.
"Are you serious?"
"I am, unless it's a little too complex for you."
"No, I can play it. It's just..."
"It just what?"
Inverno shook his head.
I don't know. I've never seen music like this before."
"But can you play it?"
The professor inquired.
"Just give me a moment."
The colt said as he climbed the piano bench, putting the music on the stand. Inverno studied it for a moment, but before he could play, he saw that his teacher had moved to pry the lid off the piano open and propped it up.
"Continue."
Key said, taking a seat next to the piano. Inverno put his hooves to the piano and played the first 8 notes before the professor interrupted.
"Louder."
He said. The unicorn played louder than that, but his teacher wasn't satisfied.
"No, louder than that."
"But I don't play louder than that."
Inverno told him. Sighing, his teacher replied,
"Inverno, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that you've been taught over years to make music into a beautiful sound, right?"
The colt nodded.
"Forget that. I do not want a beautiful sound. With some music perhaps, but not with this. This piece does not want beauty. You see here, this is falsando. It means to play as loudly as possible. So with each note, I want you to really attack it. Play it again.
Inverno repeated the first 8 notes, still not fulfilling what his teacher wants.
No, that's not it at all.
Key shook his head.
It looks like you need some proper motivation.
The young unicorn watched as he saw his teacher take hold of his music into his mouth and trotted to the other end of the piano where Inverno could see him.
So if I'm going to motivate you into what composer had in mind,
his teacher said, taking the first sheet into his hoofs,
allow me to present to you a gift.
To Inverno's horror, he watches the first sheet of the music he worked on for days being torn up.
What are you doing?
Inverno asked in alarm as he saw his professor grabbing another sheet and tearing it to pieces. He began shrieking.
Stop it! What are you doing?
Motivating you,
was all his teacher replied after ripping the 3rd page, moving on to the 4th.
Leave it alone!
Professor Key paused as he saw that Inverno's eyes were glowing.
What do you feel now?
His teacher asked.
Dread? Sadness? Rage? Do you want to kill me?
Key held up the 4th page and ripped it.
Forget about beauty for a moment. Forget about all the etiquette you've been taught. None of that matters now.
He now held up the 5th page and saw Inverno's horn glowing.
Play for me what you feel. Tell me that I'm a monster through music. Rip me apart through the music you have. Now play!
Inverno, giving his teacher the death stare, lifted his forelegs up in the air, how the blood-red aura was on his hooves, slammed the first 8 notes down on the keys. For a moment, it was as if the piano could barely withstand the beating that the enraged colt was giving. Beethoven's 5th Symphony rang out in its fiery melody, not just in the music room, but it even echoed in the crystal corridors. It was so loud that it got the attention of the palace staff, from the maids to the guards, from the servants to the royal couple. The palace was filled with the music of the piano. The staff made their way, even investigating where the sound was coming from. A crowd of the Crystal Palace staff clustered before the open entrance of the music room. They were astounded to find that all this noise was coming from the very colt that each and every one of them was trying to avoid. Inverno was attacking the piano, yet the music was still clear. He was playing on it so hard that every pony was worried that the piano might collapse beneath him. Yet, they noticed, sometimes the volume of the instrument fluctuated from crashing thunder to a gentle song and back. Soon, even Cadence and Shining Armor came to the music room. Even when they both entered the room, neither of them made the effort to stop the young unicorn from playing. At the height of the musical crescendo, Inverno slammed his hooves at the final notes. Huffing, he felt like he had fought and survived a bloody battle. He was taken completely by surprise when the next sound wasn't his teacher singing again, but it was applause. He turned around. For a moment, it was as if the entire palace was cheering. He turned to his teacher, finding that he was stomping his hooves as well.
Now that,
he said,
is exactly what I wanted.
That was amazing! Cadence said as she trotted up to the little colt. She noticed something as she approached the young unicorn. Wait, what's that? She asked, pointing to his flank. Confused, Inverno looked down at what she was pointing at. It was his cutie mark. And this concludes chapter 20 to Inverno in F minor, written by Cracked Inkwell. Well, every pony, this was such an unexpected surprise. Inverno got his cutie mark. Though it is quite unexpected since, as far as I know, Sombra doesn't have a cutie mark. I mean, there's plenty of fan art as to what his cutie mark could look like if he actually had one. But given that he's not exactly a pony, he never exactly got a cutie mark. Even his Mirrorverse counterpart, I'm not even sure if he has a cutie mark. So, since Inverno has a cutie mark, I wonder what his could be. I mean, it's obviously music, so it has to be a music note or something. And I still wonder, what could his cutie mark actually be? And now that he has one, how will it shape his future? Or, as far as we know, his future in the story. But that's pondering for another time, every pony. For now, it is time for a short break. I do hope to see you all again very soon.